The 753rd edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Just go to edgeboost.bet and use promo code SGPN. And finally, we're brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 753 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to my youngest sister-in-law, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, sister-in-law. I'm sure you're watching and listening, as most women do. Welcome to the show. Hopefully women aren't listening, because my name now is Canadian pube face, Jeff Fox. And that's not a polite thing to say in public, but that is my name. Thank you once again, Fred Durst, for the celebrity for giving me that nickname. And today is all about the ladies, actually. It's fitting that I dedicated the episode to a lady. Today is all about Invicta. Invicta FC 60 is going down this Friday in Atlanta, GA, for a promotion that runs about once a month. This is kind of a fight card. Maybe my co-host will have a different take on it than I will. Let's bring him in now. It's one early Daniel Gumby. Seems a little weak. Maybe Invicta needs to stock their shelves a bit more now.
No, so, I think two things. First of all, I think we're used to seeing, we're like, oh, they only have a fight card once a month. There should be a title fight on all of them. But remember, they only have 3 champs right now, right, which does make it much harder to make sure every fight card has a champ on it. And then in addition to that, I think the co-main event was A, banger, and B, probably could have been for their vacant featherweight title. Jamie Edendon was supposed to fight Jackie Cataline. And do you know why that fight got canceled? Do you want a little peek behind the curtain?
I know why, because you interviewed Jamie and Edendon. That's why. 2 weeks in a row, Gumby has caused a fighter to be lose their fight.
In both cases, my fighter did not get hurt. So the person I'm fighting is not getting hurt. And the actual reason why this fight was canceled, other than just my bad luck, is that Jackie Cataline would not be cleared by the Georgia Athletic Commission, because she has a concussion from having been slap fighting with another lady on this card. I'm not kidding. She's
organized slap fighting, right? Not like
yeah. She is not getting a chance to arguably stake her claim as the number 1 contender for the featherweight belt and force herself into a title shot. She is not getting that opportunity right now because she got a little too handsy in slap fighting.
Oh boy, slap fight is going to be the death of us all, Gumby.
And one of the, like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier, the lady who slapped her on this fight card.
Nice. The lady who slapped her. And we're talking legit. And this was a Dana White slap fight that we were talking about or not?
Yeah, I think
is that the only real slap organization around now?
Is that the only real slap organization?
That's what I said. That's what I said. Real.
None of them are real slap company. Slap company, slap organization, slap promotion, slap
promotion. They are slap promotion. They're a slap promotion, no doubt.
You're gonna have to add another word in there that you're not usually supposed to say, but it is that. Yeah,
it is that. All right, before we dive into it, here's something that we're running. This is much cooler than a slap promotion. We're running a free squares pool for the Super Bowl. Perhaps you've heard of it, Super Bowl. $1,000 winner take all for the finals score square. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares to sign up today. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares. Definitely something we are not. We are not squares in the show. We're super cool guys, obviously. I got a pube face, for God's sakes. All right, let's jump into this. They're actually at Atlanta's turning into one of their home away from homes, right? Usually they're Kansas City, but they seem to be running Atlanta frequently now.
Yeah, I like the Atlanta. Like, it's a fun little mix-up. And I know they've been some other places, too. They were in Boston not that long ago. Right. And they seem to like Colorado as well. There must be something they like about the reception they're getting in Atlanta. I am a little bit bummed, though, because I've been slowly becoming a fan of open scoring. I think between Octagon and Invicta, they've sort of won me over. But when they're outside of Missouri, we don't get that. We have to go back to the old rules. Georgia, not a fan of the open scoring.
Yeah. Georgia does release fighter purses, though. So make sure you check out my Substack, moneymma.substack.com. I will have these fighter purses as soon as the commission sends it to me. One of the few commissions that the UFC hasn't strong-armed into making all that stuff private. All right. Invicta FC 60. Rubin versus Cantuária. Cantuária. Is that right? Cantuária? Cantuária. He always has to pronounce it a little different to make me look like a dummy. I don't need help. I am a dummy. February the 7th, which would be Friday. So we got 2 Friday events already. This one's 5:30 p.m. So split screen with, or multiple screens, excuse me, with yesterday's episode on whatever we covered yesterday. We covered
Fury 101.
Yes, Fury 101. I remember. This is on CBS Sports Network. We got 7 fights going down at Center Stage in Atlanta, GA. Center Stage is where WCW used to run back in the olden days. Okay. Old time wrestling fans. So there you go. All right, we're breaking down pretty much the whole fight card. 5 fights in full, and then maybe Gumby has bonus picks for the other 2. Who's to say? We'll find out at the very, very end. Starting things off with a atomweight bout. Now, if UFC is not going to actually, Invicta really should double down on atomweight and featherweight, the two weight classes that UFC does not have.
So they are going in on featherweight. They promised a couple of featherweights that they signed, and I've talked to more than one that said it. They promised a couple of featherweights they signed that they will make a commitment to trying to sign more, putting together a champ again, like building up the division. And I by saying the UFC isn't in on atomweight, I'm going to add yet to that. Because I do really feel like it's coming, and it's just going to take a couple of big atomweight fights in Invicta to have them just decide to buy their entire atomweight division or something.
Yep. So there you go. But as of now, that they should be the two weight classes for you, Invicta. There you go. Thank you. The 2 hardest ones to find people. Probably atomweight probably isn't super hard. Featherweight, as we've seen, it's kind of hard to get a whole bunch of high level female fighters. So we got Giulliany Perêa from Brazil, Jessica Hope Holmes from the United States of America, 3 5-minute rounds, 105. No odds yet. Gummy will give you his best guesstimates. Holmes is Hummingbird. Good nickname for an atomweight. She's 2-1. She's got no finishes. They're both decisions. She's been submitted herself once. She's 0-1 in Invicta. Win is her career pattern. 1-1 as a pro grappler, 0-1 as a pro kickboxer. Perêa, Giu. So just a shorten of her full name. 2-0 with 1 knockout, 1-0 in Invicta. Regional champion, 4 inches taller than Holmes, 6 years younger. And that's all I got. Not much on these ladies, but Gumby has plenty to tell you about them.
Yeah, I think Perêa is going to be -500 favorite. I think she's one that Invicta really clearly cares about. She's super marketable. I think she's super good too. So for me, this is all Perêa. If you watch Holmes, who I wasn't familiar with, actually, to be completely honest, I had to go watch some film on her. She's a southpaw, and weirdly in the fight I saw, she throws a lot of power from her right side for a southpaw. You don't expect somebody to try to like throw a power right kick when you're standing left-handed. And she does it with hooks on the right side too. Like it is a really bizarre, it just leads me to believe that like perhaps she's not all that great at striking. She does put together some decent combos, but like it's very awkward, and maybe that awkwardness is like carried her well, but I don't think it will here. The other problem is I think she's a little bit sloppy in the grappling department. I've seen her get in on some clinches and try to like muscle takedowns. One time she had like a body lock and she just like fell over the top of the person she was trying to take down and like fell down. And like, okay, she's only 2-1. You can't blame her for being where she is, especially if like, striking, you mentioned she was a kickboxer. Like those are her arts first. But she's fighting Perêa, who is like an absolute grind, like as much of a grinder as you can be when you weigh 105 pounds. She just wants to get in your kitchen. And like, I think, to be honest, I think her kickboxing is more technical than Holmes. I think if we saw just a kickboxing match, I probably wouldn't want to lay on her at -500 in a kickboxing match, but I do think she would beat Holmes in that too. And then when you just add the grappling aspect of it, I think she's going to, the way she gets to the legs, her top control, the way she stays busy so they don't stand her up in the top control. She's not the best at passing. If I had to say, that would be like maybe my one like sticking point for her as a prospect is like, I would like to see her doing more trying to pass the guard and doing more, trying to, get to half guard at the very least, especially when she's got somebody up against the cage. But she is really impressive when it comes to takedowns. She keeps her opponents on the ground. And so like this really screams like 30-27 decision for Perêa, and probably not the worst cap off for a parlay if you're trying to juice it up a little bit.
All right. Perêa is the pick. Let's jump into the next fight. Up the fight card. Up a weight class as well. This one's strawweight. Liana Pirosin versus Shino VanHoose. Brazil versus America. VanHoose, 6-6, 1 knockout, 3 submissions. She's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 1-2 in Invicta. 2-1 over her last 3, 2-3 over her last 5. Got TKO'd in her last fight. That was back in October 2019. So she's taken some time off, you could say. It's not one since August 2017. Used to fight at atomweight. 2011 pro MMA debut. 2 years younger than Pirosin. Lee, Li, is the nickname, quote unquote. It's just a shortened first name. She's 8-7 with 3 knockouts. She's been submitted twice. 1-4 in Invicta. She's lost 3 straight and only won 1 of her last 6. Lost her last fight. That was back in May of 2022. So she's been out for quite a while as well. Used to fight at 125. 2013 pro MMA debut. An inch taller and an inch reach over VanHoose. So a couple ladies coming off long layoffs, shaking off the ring rust here.
I mean, one a long layoff, one a very long layoff. This is one of those fights where I thought I had a good read at where people were. I was like, oh, Pirosin will be a favorite. We haven't seen VanHoose since before the pandemic, right? It was 2019?
19, yeah.
Yeah. So like pre-pandemic was the last time she fought. She's in a different weight class now. Like you can't make this woman a favorite, I would imagine. And, when I talk to some people who are in the know in the bookmaking, they actually expect her to come in as the favorite. So I don't usually don't know what to make of those when I feel one way and the bookmakers, or at least the people with the bookmakers, I feel the other. So I'm going to say pick them here. I'm going to say that this comes in fairly close to even. And I'm going to take Pirosin. As I said, I thought she'd be a massive favorite. The layoff for VanHoose is not good. And then I would also just add that, like, if you watch VanHoose fight, like it's always kind of been grappling or nothing for her. And sure, she could definitely round her game out in the time after that, right? Like just because she was all grappling in 2019 doesn't mean she's going to be in, 2025. Although I will say, maybe we could give her credit for working on her strike. She's married to Vince Morales. So like perhaps that helps her striking. Vince Morales, obviously a talented striker. So like maybe she's working with hubby and getting better there. But I will say, like we can only go on what we've seen of her in the past. And that's been like a pretty much a grapple only approach and kind of not a lot of faith in her striking. And I can't imagine, almost 6 years away is going to make that better. Pirosin, on the other hand, like I think she's a good enough striker. I think her biggest flaw in the striking is that she tends to want to be second. And when she fights somebody a lot faster than her, that turns into a problem because that person gets out of range and going second and being a counter striker doesn't work so well. But I think in this fight, like she's going to be faster and a better striker than VanHoose. And then also we've seen her grapple a little bit, like in her fight with Elise Pone. She kind of held her own there. I'm pretty sure she got Pone's back, I want to say, in like one of the first couple of minutes of that fight. And like, she's not the type who wants to grapple, but I actually think her wrestling might be better than VanHoose here. So if that's the case, I think she forces her to strike, and I think Pirosin takes it. So I'm going to go with Pirosin. Again, I got no idea where the line is going to be. We'll just pretend that this is a pick 'em as I put it together.
The gens at Topology are Perêa 98%, so that's a massive one. And then
that's again, she's
VanHoose 76%.
Yeah, so like they're in with maybe that's where the bookmakers are at, but like, and we've said this before, a lot of times the things that like, casual fans on Tapology pick fights with are the same thing the bookmakers do, like recent victories and layoffs. And that's why I like don't understand this one. Like she hasn't won recently. She hasn't fought in 6 years.
She hasn't fought recently.
I mean, like sometimes they have like accolades. You could say like, oh, when they're a world champion jiu-jitsu practitioner, like that help. She's like a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Like she's good. Like I really do like her grappling. I just don't think she'll get it there. And so I don't really know what to say.
Interesting stuff. All right, before we dive into the next stuff, we gotta tell you about DraftKings. This ain't the little itty bitty teeny tiny bowl. This is Super Bowl LIX. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gumby, give the people the fine print.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
There's the Ontario hate again from Gumby. Rhythm, SGPN's partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build you a model. NFL picks, NFL props, college basketball, and NBA. Rhythm has it all. Al Horford props, damn right. They have it all. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, we're moving on up the card. As we are wont to do, we're third from the top now. Name you may find familiar. Victoria Leonardo versus Rayla Nascimento. Almost said it wrong. It's Rayla. She's from Brazil. Victoria Leonardo, secretly American. Name like that, you would, and a fighter, you would think, oh, Brazilian, but no. She's from New Jersey. I'm assuming her family is probably Brazilian, but that's just an assumption of mine. Nascimento, we'll tell you about first. She's from Brazil, but her nickname is India. We had that yesterday with yesterday's episode too. El Mexicano was from where? Peru or somewhere?
Colombia,
So, yeah.
I think.
Colombia, yeah. Anyhow, Nascimento is India. She's 10-10 with 3 knockouts. She's been knocked out once, submitted twice. This is her debut in Invicta. 1-2 over her last 3. She did win her last fight. Was a regional champion. Used to fight at 115 and 135. So now she's right in the middle at flyweight. 6 years younger than Leonardo. Fury Leonardo, 10-6, 1 knockout, 5 submissions. She's been knocked out 5 times, submitted once. 4-2 in Invicta. 1-2 over her last 3. 2-4 over her last 6. Won her last fight via submission. 1-4 in the UFC. 2-0 in LFA. 1-0 in Bellator. 1-0 on Contender Series. She's fought pretty much everywhere. No Strike Force or WEC, but that's it. 0-1 in kickbox as a pro kickboxer, 1-0 as a pro boxer, 3 inches taller than Nascimento.
So I think Leonardo, with the name value plus fighting a fighter with an even record, although it's not actually even, she's got some record ineligible fights on there. So do with those what you will. But like, I think, UFC veteran versus, even money fighter. I think you're going to see her -400, -450. And I'm actually going to take a stab on Nascimento.
All right.
It's not necessarily a entire fade of Victoria Leonardo, but like, kind of my issue with her has always been that, especially on the feet, like I just don't think she commits enough to her strikes. And it could be that she's been burned a few times, right? Like, you get burnt by some punches and you get hurt to the body and stuff like that. You stop wanting to, deal the same way you did before. You stop wanting to throw big. And like, I think that's been a real problem for her. And if you watch Nascimento, man, I had not heard this woman's name despite having, 20 pro fights more if you count the record ineligible ones. But I saw like a 500 record, 10-10 or whatever it was. And then like, I was like, oh, she's got to be terrible. And they're setting her up with a UFC fighter. She's going to get rocked. And when I watched, like, first of all, she does chase a bit on the feet. Like when she's trying to back somebody up against the cage, if they circle, she clearly has problems with that. Like she should have some problems. She's 10-10. But also like her record recently, first of all, is really good. She was like 3-8 at a point or something like that. And now she's like really turned it around. And the way that she's done it is like really strong leg kicks, which makes sense. Like if somebody keeps circling away from you and you're having trouble cutting them off, like hitting them with that leg kick on the circle away, it makes sense, right? Like, and it's a way that she can go about slowing that person down a little bit. And then in addition to that, like her wrestling game is, I think, good enough to stuff Leonardo whenever she wants to, and also possibly just have top game control on Leonardo. She presses up against the cage well. She uses her head in control positions. She locks her hands, goes for the double leg, gets under the hips. I actually like the fact that a couple of times I saw her fail when she got to the hips, and then she turned it into a trip and got the takedown that way. She's looked really good as of late, despite the fact that she's got a spotty record. Her last win is over Vivi Perêa, and Vivi Perêa was in the UFC, and she went 1-1 with her over her last 2 fights, both going to decision, and she won the more recent one. Like, that's really impressive when you consider where she came from. So, I mean, I like the wrestling game. I think she's probably a little bit better of a striker. She's going to have to watch out for the submissions of Leonardo. So maybe she doesn't want to be the one to take it to the ground. But regardless, I think she has the options of where the fight takes place. And I think she's got a lot of advantages. So if she comes in, 3.5 to 1, 4 to 1, like, heck yeah, it's worth a roll of the dice.
You are in the 4% minority going with Nascimento.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not surprised. Like, it's a UFC veteran versus somebody with a 500 record. Who wouldn't eat that up? But like, I'm encouraging you people, like, if you haven't seen her fight, watch some of her recent fights. She looks really good.
Do your research. You've done your research, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, from our guy, Mr. Swerve.
Yeah, do your research, bro. That's pretty much every. A lot of people say do your research nowadays.
Yeah, but it was Mr. Swerve was my guy.
Our friend Mr. Swerve on YouTube. All right, we're to the co-main event already. This one got bumped up because we lost our original co-main event was actually, we already talked about it. Gumby told you what it was going to be, and he jinxed it. Shanna Young from United States. Katharina Lehner from Germany, 3 5-minute rounds, 135. Lehner is the German Gypsy, 8-5 with 1 knockout. She's been knocked out once, submitted twice, 1-3 in Invicta, 1-5 over her last 6. Lost her last fight via TKO. It was back in October 2023. So she's got some rust to knock off here. 0-1 in Bellator, 0-1 in LFA, 0-1 in Tough. Multiple region championships on her
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. I am actually officially wearing it 2 days in a row. Usually I joke because we recorded the same day, but no, this is 2 days in a row. That changed. I will tonight, I promise. Multiple region championships on her mantle, as Gumby said. Get the shirt or any other shirt or our nice, cool SGPN Degens hats at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. And the code is Big Game. You get 15% off up into the Super Bowl. Lerner used to fight at 145. 2014 Pro MMA debut, 1-2 in boxing. Disqualification and slap fighting. Is she the aforementioned slap fighter we were?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she used too much wrist or closed.
There are rules, are there?
And concussed Jackie Catalina. I mean, she got DQ'd. She made it so that Jackie Catalina can't fight on this card, which is a huge bummer. That fight ruled.
So there you go. Not good. 0-1 in bare knuckle boxing. BKFC, 2 inches of reach over Young. Young is obviously famously the Shanimal. 10-7, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions. She's been knocked out once, submitted once. 2-1 in Invicta, 1-2 over her last 3, 2-3 over her last 5. 1 last 5 via TKO, 1-3 in the UFC, 1-2 in PFL. 0-1 on Contender Series. Used to fight at 125, missed weight there before, but now she's up weight class, so she should be good, you'd hope. Regional champion, an inch of height over Leonardo.
Yeah, I'm going Shanimal. I think she's probably going to be, low to mid 200s, probably negative 225 or something like that. And the reason I like her in this fight is first of all, that recent record for Katharina Lehner, it looks absolutely awful, right? Like she is not winning. She's not even winning slap fights at this point. And the reason to me is pretty simple. If you watch her, she has a lot of head movement. And then when she goes to attack, it slows down. And so she's somebody who doesn't rely on having her hands in front of her face as much as maybe she should because she moves her head so much. But then she stops moving her head when she closes the distance. And as a result, she is really extremely hittable. And that's cost her time and time again. And then in addition to that, if you watch her last fight, she fought Melissa Croden. I want to say it was in LFA. And first of all, I like Melissa Croden, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad loss, but the loss to Melissa Croden was just by being absolutely bullied in the clinch. Anytime they got to the clinch, Croden threw to the body, backed her up against the cage, and teed off, or at least just held her there. And it looked like Lerner had no response to that at all. Now, we've said time and time again, maybe Shanna Young is not the prospect maybe once upon a time we thought she was, but the one thing you 100% can't doubt about this woman is her strength. Physically, she is ridiculously strong for bantamweight or flyweight for that matter, right? Like
she's a shanimal, Gumby.
She continues to be one of those like absurdly buff people for the weight class they're in. And so like for me, like that almost enough. Just being so physically strong and good in the clinch should be enough to just like bully Lerner for this entire fight. And I don't know that Lerner will get any of her striking going to start. I mean, Shanna is coming off of like a big, fast knockout in the last fight, but to be fair, against a very bad opponent. But like Lerner is hittable too. So like, hey, maybe she hurts her early in this fight and gets it done. But at the very least, anytime Lerner comes close to her, she should clinch, hold her against the cage, and just dominate that way.
All right, what number did you say?
I said negative 225-ish.
Okay, got it. Locked in. Not that it officially matters, but I'm locking it in regardless. The people will say 94% for Young, so hopefully you can get the number that low. We shall see if the people steam her number up. All right, before we steam on to our main event, a couple more important messages for you people out there. Edge Boost. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstake site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is no credit checks and it's completely free. Sign up today and use the promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And Underdog Fantasy. The big game is coming this Sunday, and Underdog has you covered. New customers get a Travis Kelce free pick if they sign up before the game. Plus, Underdog's site-wide, no sweat entry token is live now. You can cash in on your Underdog entry or get bonus credits in return. Gummy, give a play. It says for the big game, but if you don't have another big game one, I'm sure no one will notice.
I can give you a big game one. I'll also just tell you tonight, take the lower than on Jordan Poole's points. The guy's complaining about not being an all-star, and he hasn't scored.
No, for real? Jordan Poole was complaining?
Yeah, Jordan Poole was like, I know my play is all-star caliber. And like good for him for believing in himself and whatnot. I think it's set at 19.5 tonight against the Hornets, and he hasn't been higher than 19 in 5 games. And so, I don't care how good he thinks he is. Take the lower than on Jordan Poole. And if we want to do a big game one too, I gave the rushing yards for Saquon Barkley last time, but you could take his rushing attempts too. It's listed at only 22.5, and I have to imagine they're just going to hand him the rock. So give me at least 23 rushing yards for Mr. Saquon Barkley.
You can kind of see how Jordan Poole will get punched in the face by a teammate at practice. He seems to be one of those guys.
Can you imagine not scoring 20 points for 2 weeks and then being upset you're not an all-star?
And you play for the Washington Wizards, one of the worst teams of all time. Very interesting. Sign up with our code. Here's an interesting thing. Underdog Fantasy, use our code MMA SGPN. Claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And now on to the main event. It is 3 5-minute rounds, a feature bantamweight bout. That's what we talked about yesterday, was a feature bantamweight bout. Israel's Olga Rubin, she's up against Brazil's Mayra Cantuária. 3 5-minute rounds, as I said, 135. We'll tell you about Cantuária first. 10-6-1 with 1 no contest, 2 knockouts, 4 submissions. She's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 1-1 in Invicta, 1-3 over her last 4, including losing her last fight. 0-1 in LFA, regional champion, used to fight at 125, 2015 pro MMA debut. Rubin, big bad, Olga Rubin, 9-4, 3 knockouts, 1 submission. She's been knocked out twice, submitted once, 2-2 in Invicta, 2-1 over her last 3, 3-3 over her last 6. She did lose her last fight. 4-2 in Bellator, 1-0 in Octagon. Used to fight at 145, 2 inches height, 2 inches of reach over Cantuária.
So I think Rubin's going to be a favorite. I'm going to say like negative 185. And I've been back and forth on this fight. I'm going to say, I don't know if I was just trying to talk myself into the value, though, of Mayra Cantuária. She 100% hits harder than Olga Rubin. Like, it's a little bit wilder. She, her hooks come from lower, and maybe she doesn't protect her face so much, and she'd love to be in a brawl here. But at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to go Olga Rubin here and hope that the number's lower. And if not, it's probably like a pass point for me. Because like Olga Rubin is a much more technical striker. She's like one of those people who throws out push kicks. My like big issue with Olga Rubin time and time again is that like she's really good at jiu-jitsu, right? She's the one who hit that buggy choke a little ways back. And like her transitions are sick, and like she's on the bottom and all of a sudden she's on your back, and like she's really fun to watch in jiu-jitsu. But that also makes her just like give up a takedown whenever her opponent wants it. And like that is such a dangerous way to fight in MMA. And yeah, again, she buggy choked Claire Guthrie. Like, good for her. That's such an impressive way to win an MMA fight in any year. Never mind, now when this stuff's on YouTube all the time. But like, I don't like that. With that being said, I don't think Cantuária is going to want to shoot a takedown. She likes to brawl. If she does like to brawl, I think we get to see Rubin kind of pick her apart from range and watch Cantuária get frustrated and possibly in the clinch. And if she gets in the clinch, like that might be the opening Rubin needs to like maybe get a takedown herself. And if she gets a takedown herself, I think she's going to be like too dangerous on top because she's so used to being dangerous on the bottom. And like, I've seen her top game. She's dangerous when she's on top too. So like, I think that's when she could really exploit it. Again, like she's going to be a favorite because people seem to like her and think the buggy choke thing was hilarious and whatever. But like, if she is a 2-1 favorite here, I think you got to stay off of it. I think you have to stay off of this until it's getting down closer to a pick 'em. Like, I think, you're inevitably going to ask me if I just left it at that. You were going to be like, what number do you want to?
Exactly.
I would say I'd want to play her money line at -135. That's when I would say like, all right, I'm in on Rubin. Let's get down with Olga Rubin. But like north of that, I'm second guessing myself because I don't like how there's a good chance she could just get absolutely trounced on the feet. And like Cantuária is really physical. So if like Rubin isn't liking what she sees on the feet and has to like force the takedowns, I don't think she'll succeed. So like, I guess it's sort of contingent upon her being the frustrator instead of the frustratee.
91% Rubin, which isn't really a
Yeah,
surprise because she's the name in this bout. You would say so. Yeah. Gumby hates it, but hey, them's the breaks, kid. All right, let's recap, and then we're gonna have a lightning round. Hopefully, a short lightning round because there's only 2 more fights we haven't covered. He's got Rubin, he's got Young, he's got Leonardo. That's no, not Leonardo. I transposed it under the wrong one. Nascimento hopefully has a very big dog here. All signs are pointing to that as a big dog. He's got Pirosin hopefully has at least a pick 'em, and Perêa as a very big dog. All right, lightning rounds. That Ben Boom Pow. You have 2 fights left to choose from. You doing both?
Yeah, I'll do both of them. I'm gonna go with Giulliany in the first of the 2 fights. She's an IMMAF fighter, and she's also fighting Killjoy. You remember we've talked about her, Joy Pendel, a couple of times. I successfully faded her in her last fight. She won 2 fights for Uriah Faber's A1, and like people seem to be on Joy Pendel after that. And I just think her striking's so slow. So I like Giulliany as her opportunity to possibly come in there as an underdog because people seem to like Killjoy. And then I'm going to take Amber Medina. I think she's making her pro debut here, but wealth of amateur experience here. And the person she's fighting, I've actually saw the person she's fighting's debut because she actually fought a former training partner of mine, and that former training partner.
Go ahead. Sorry, we had a run in.
That's okay. The former training partner of mine, I personally think did enough to win a split decision. And obviously I was a little bit biased, but like I wasn't really impressed with what I saw by her opponent. So I'm going to take Amber Medina as sort of just the fighter who I've seen her amateur career look good enough, and I think she'll be good enough to score the victory here. So that's Amber Medina and Giulliany.
You're the Killjoy for Killjoy now. You're Killjoy and Killjoy on this.
If I fade her 2 in a row and she loses them both, that's at least I'm Killjoy with it. Killjoy with a good reason.
I know, Killjoy with reality. All right, you're set for Invicta, ladies and gentlemen. Get in the Discord and chat with us and the rest of the madmen in there. That would be sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We are on YouTube. Obviously, perhaps you're watching us right now. MMA Gambling Podcast. Make sure you are subscribed, and you can hit up our comments if you have any questions or comments or new nicknames. You can also hit us up on Twitter. Gumby runs our account at SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. Get in my Substack, as I mentioned off the top, moneymma.substack.com. I have my pick'em up and running, and I'm going to have whole bunch of articles, as I always do on that Substack. So moneymma.substack.com. Gumby's got Top Turtle MMA podcast, where the jinx is back, baby. People cannot get fights after they talk to Gumby. That they get the scarlet letter placed upon them. Who's on the show this week, Gumby?
Well, Cody Steele's going to fight this weekend, hopefully.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And then possibly I'll be dropping my interview with Jamie Edendin. I'll probably drop it even if since that fight's off. But there may also be a replacement interview in there that I snuck in just barely in time. So keep your ears out. Perhaps we will see somebody else show up.
Gumby's got short notice replacements now, just like the MMA.
I'm working on it.
The interviews are good, even if fights fall off, because you don't just talk about the fight with these people generally. So, even if you do, I'm sure the interview is going to be good.
She talks about why her nickname is Snickers.
Yeah, so, there you go. That's enough right there. That's enough right there to run it. Even in a bridged version, if need be. All right, so that's Top Turtle. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Big game is your code to get 15% off until the big game. Like I said, check out those new cool hats we got, and sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And of course, remember your code for Underdog Fantasy, MMA SGPN. That helps us keep the lights on, and it helps you get bonus stuff from Underdog Fantasy. Now, Gumby will bid you farewell until tomorrow.
All right, I'm Data Gumby Freeland. He's the Jeffable Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.